Coming up next on Good Morning El Paso, jurors waking up in a hotel right now have a big decision on their hands. Should a mother be found guilty after her baby died of heat exhaustion? And another big case happening today. We are waiting to learn the punishment for a woman convicted of murder in a drug deal gone wrong. And the latest on the Children's Hospital bankruptcy and the possibility that the hospital may end up shutting its doors altogether.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso.
It is 6 a.m. on your Friday morning. Good morning, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. Thanks for waking up with us today. I'm Hillary Floren. Let's check in with Crystal Cly right now. We are under a first alert, and she has a lot to talk about, don't you, Crystal?
Yeah, busy forecast come tomorrow. That first alert is for your Saturday. Today, we are building up to it with a forecast that's pretty similar to the last few days. That does include a mostly clear start to our morning. We see some spots of green on radar, but they're kind of all out of our viewing zone and weakening as we speak. In fact, the moisture is edging off. By moisture, I mean that cloud deck that was in place. Last night we had some light rain move through as we had forecast, scattered activity. That obviously not the case this morning, but later today may start to build back up into the night. Our temperatures right now are at 70 degrees, Indian Ridge Middle School, 74 at the Health Sciences School, and here at the KVIA studios we sit in the low 70s as well. Great start to our temperatures this morning, but coming up we are looking hot again today in the 90s with scattered rain showers possible tonight. Sounds the same as the last few days. Tomorrow is when we see those big changes. Your first alert, rainy and cooler conditions for your Saturday. We'll discuss in more detail what to expect this weekend coming up.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Crystal. Now to the headlines. This morning, a woman found guilty of murder sits behind bars awaiting her punishment. Sonia Bautista was convicted yesterday of helping two others kill Jose Castañon during a drug deal. Good morning, El Paso's Denise Olivas is live with more details. Denise?
Good morning, Hillary. Sonia Bautista faces 5 years to life in prison. In May of 2013, she killed 22-year-old Jose Castañon. Police officers found Castañon's body later inside a home on the 2600 block of Hamilton. They say Bautista and her friends Brianna Garay and Ricardo Macias were trying to buy ecstasy pills from Castañon. Bautista took the stand in her own defense earlier this week, and she told the court that Castañon attacked her with scissors, so she smashed a cookie jar over his head. We will be following the trial at the El Paso County Courthouse today, so stay with ABC 7 for all the latest developments. Hillary, back to you.
Thanks so much, Denise. And happening today, we may learn the fate of El Paso mother Waukesha Ives. She is being treated for the death of her 5-month-old baby girl, killed from heat exposure after Ives allegedly left her in the car while she went to work. After 3 hours of debate yesterday, the jury could not come to a decision. They are sequestered right now in a nearby hotel. The defense argues Ives truly did not know the child was in the car, and her child's death was not an intentional act. The prosecution says Ives should not evade punishment for being forgetful. The trial gets underway again this morning at 8:30. A military court is continuing with hearings today to determine if Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl should face a court-martial. It's the latest chapter in the story of a soldier who was the subject of controversy since his 2014 release after 5 years as a Taliban prisoner. Andrew Spencer reports on the story that's still developing now.
Lawyers for Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl have two goals: to keep him out of prison and to get more of his side of the story out to the public amid the harsh criticism he's received.
Many people have made up their minds. I think it would be healthy for everyone to have more information rather than less information.
The military says 6 years ago, Bergdahl purposefully abandoned his unit in Afghanistan. They've charged him with desertion and misbehavior before the enemy. Held as a Taliban prisoner for more than 5 years, Bergdahl was released in a swap for 5 Taliban members who had been held at Guantanamo Bay. The exchange was met with fierce criticism from those who fought alongside Bergdahl in Afghanistan. They accused him of desertion, which is the topic of this week's preliminary hearings. On Thursday, Bergdahl sat with his civilian and military defense attorneys as his platoon leader from Afghanistan testified for the prosecution. On cross, Bergdahl's attorneys brought up their client's mental health history and later pushed for greater transparency.
We've been in a thus far fruitless effort to persuade the Army to allow us to release Sergeant Bergdahl's extensive interview transcript.
If Bergdahl is court-martialed and found guilty, he faces a potential maximum penalty of life in prison. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
From our New Mexico Mobile Newsroom this morning, Doñana County Sheriff's officials say they have caught the man responsible for severely beating up a teenager at a house party last weekend. They say 22-year-old Derek Edward Joyce is a Fort Bliss soldier. Investigators say Joyce was caught on video throwing 18-year-old Gabriel Benavides to the ground and kicking him in the face. It happened Sunday morning on the 6000 block of Vista de Oro. Benavides is still in critical condition this morning at UMC. He was in a coma but has since regained consciousness. More trouble now for the El Paso Children's Hospital. University Medical Center says it may no longer want to take over Children's, and it might let the troubled Children's Hospital just close down. That's because UMC says it learned Children's may owe the federal government anywhere between $22 and $66 million, depending on potential penalties. Children's reported to the feds that it paid $27 million in rent to UMC when it really did not, and the feds reimbursed Children's for a little bit of that money. So UMC is sending another offer now to Children's, giving it time to find another partner, but with the condition that it stop litigation during that time.
The Children's Hospital would have to close its doors, and UMC would probably open up a pediatric wing.
Yeah, so that's a very real possibility.
That's a real possibility.
I think Children's runs a very serious risk of losing the one and only opportunity they have to keep the hospital going.
If we have a third-party strategic partner infuse new money and pay off the creditors in full.
Yesterday, we mentioned an option Children's had in its plan to move out of the building if Children's finds a partner, but UMC says no way because it's a bad deal for the taxpayers. Switching gears, the Department of Health has confirmed 3 new cases of West Nile virus here in El Paso. Who's infected? An elderly man and woman who both live in Central, and an elderly man from the Lower Valley. So far, there have been 2 West Nile-related deaths this year. Health officials are urging everyone to protect themselves using DEET, especially following the recent rain. Of course, a rainy weekend on tap. Standing water is also a breeding ground for those mosquitoes. Authorities in Chile say at least 11 people were killed by the powerful earthquake that struck the northern part of the country. That happened Wednesday night. Officials say the number could climb, though, as emergency crews reach the areas that were hit the hardest. The 8.3 quake has been followed by dozens of aftershocks. In Chile's inland cities, people were sleeping outside overnight. Along the coast, people got in their cars trying to seek higher ground, fearing a tsunami. Of course, we'll have more on this story coming up a little later on Good Morning El Paso. To Utah now, where authorities say searchers have found the last body of 7 hikers killed in flash flooding that swept through a narrow canyon at Zion National Park. The bodies of 3 men and 1 woman were found on Tuesday. 2 other bodies were found on Wednesday. The group set out on Monday before park officials closed the canyons due to flooding. Park rangers say the group was told about the danger of flash flooding before they entered, but there was no way to warn them once those waters began to rise. Thousands of migrants and refugees are pouring into Croatia a day after Hungary closed its southern border with Serbia. But Croatia's interior minister says that his country is at capacity and simply can't take in any more people. At least 7,300 refugees and migrants had entered the country from Serbia by midday. From Croatia, they hope to reach Germany by traveling up through Slovenia and then through Austria. EU leaders have so far failed to find common ground on this crisis. European Council President Donald Tusk says a new meeting is scheduled for September 23rd. Time now is 6:08. Here's a live look at traffic. This is I-10 and Joe Battle. Things are going to begin to pick up here for that morning commute. We have a feeling, as it always does this time of day, so we'll keep an eye on things and let you know where the trouble spots are. But right now, looking really nice. Keep it here for much more to come on Good Morning El Paso today. Is it renting a bike or is it sharing a bike? The city wants to clarify the new program downtown and what it's meant for. But first, let's talk weather with Crystal Clyde. Crystal, you have so much to cover this morning.
Busy forecast as we move into your weekend, especially. We are under a storm track weather first alert. We'll talk about why you might want to stay indoors this Saturday, coming up after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.